Alrighty then. Let's start with what I think I'm going to call this video. I was dead wrong, okay? So let's walk through how I have changed the model and let's walk through what's happened, right? The warrant issuance is active now. The warrant issuance is being treated as a dilution event. We are already suppression cycled. We never left the suppression portion of the cycle, and I have made this chart to express that and examine that more closely. And then furthermore, I have some lessons for this about how there are times and places for going balls deep on calls, and I want going forward for it to be beneficial to me whether or not we truly leave the suppression cycle. So my next time for going deep into calls is either going to be November 3rd or October 17th, but either way, I want to capture what's happening on November 14th here. Okay? That's the next time I go into calls. That's it. It's if I can get under 23.50 a share and enter my calls then I'm pretty happy with the result that would bring. And showing what it looks like suppressed is 24.15, and then when you take into account the fact that GameStop printing these warrants is causing a downwards momentum here that is pushing under what the model accounts for, then there's a strong possibility that I actually see under 23.50 a share, and that I have the capability to enter calls either on the 17th, the 24th, or November 3rd, or October 31st. If I enter calls under 23.50 a share, I'd be willing to let go of them either on the 23rd or on the 29th or on the 11th. And anytime it's at over a 50% gain, I would probably be completely happy letting go of them into that. That's what I'm feeling in my current position. I will show how that trade went. I lost 300K, and that's fine. I can sustain that in my own lifestyle, which is batshit crazy to say out loud, but it's true. And the sizing of the next bet is going to be for those calls, and it's going to be into this upwards movement. Now, this is me assuming that we're exiting suppression cycle, which is not an assumption I'm making going forward. But even if I just go off of the suppressed portion of this chart, I'm 100% content entering by the 7th or around the 17th and exiting either on the 23rd, the 28th, the 4th, or the 11th. And I will be playing this game how I always do, because that's why I'm here, to play the game. Okay, now let's take a step back and let's look at some data, right? So GME stock, let's grab the stock price at this very moment. Oh, we have dropped even more. That is crazy. I have in fact exited my position entirely already, so I am not exposed to that this time. What's next? What is next, actually? I expect we're going to retract all the way to 22 and some change, but I don't know. I also know that the ETF model that I'm using, and where I place my floor and boundary for bottom of the stock price, is at 23.03 a share. If I see 23 a share, I'm buying my calls for expiring when I already said. And in my trades entered chart, I already have where I would buy calls, and then writing back down on the expiration of those and what dates those involve for me, right? Whew. What's next? Really? Truly, what's next here? This chart is new. The yellow band is what the stock price looks like repressed. The green band is what it looks like unrepressed. I tend to find that we, on receiving the third swap in the cycle, go from repressed to not repressed. If I open up TradingView, we'll see that we are in the portion of the swap cycle where the swapinator triggers and goes high. Here we are. We are not actually at peak for the swapinator though. This yellow line is showing that it is starting the swap cycle. The swap cycle isn't done. The swap cycle isn't peaked. We aren't on a decline. Even if this declines in this day-to-day line, and this is a backwards looking model, mind you, even if this does decline, I would full well expect that we would stay at those levels for a week or two and then truly have our peak. I expect that we'll go about that high a few times. And that's fine. My actual prediction is still following this main model. My actual prediction is that around the 17th or the 24th or the 31st, I see swap activity hit an absolute peak, which looking back will look something like this, around 90 or 0.9 to at least 0.9. If I see swapinator hit at least 0.9 here, then I would be content to enter my call position, right? I would love a convergence of factors, including a share price below 23.25, a swapinator peak above 0.9, and the model with the new FTD releases showing a consistent chart for an upwards movement either at mid-October or early November into mid-November. When we look back at Richard Newton's charts, we'll see that Richard Newton's prediction for when the second upcycle occurs here in this set of two upcycles before we have the sad days, the I will wait forever dog meme, is starting on November 5th. And so let's look at what November 5th looks like. November 5th looks like, November 5th looks right here. And I expect this upwards movement in the yellow would be the start of the cycle, and then on the 11th to 14th would be the end of this cycle. So let's look at the 11th to 14th inside of here. We see the 14th is inside of here, and the 11th is inside of here. And so full well, I do anticipate and agree with this call out of a run, and I'm going to be positioning calls into it on, and I will highlight the dates that I love the idea of picking up calls on. I would love to enter on the 24th, on the 17th, on the 3rd. 24th, 17th, 3rd. Let's take a look at those. Data, 24th. Let's color this off green. 17th. 1 second. 24th. 17th. I'm going to color these off red because they are down days actually. And then the 3rd of November. These are the days that I expect a low may occur, which would justify a purchase of calls. I would expect that if I purchase calls, I would be purchasing 200K of calls. Yes, I would be purchasing 200K of strike price 24 calls and attempting to exit on the 21st of November at 26 a share. All right. What comes next now? What does come next? Data. This is my plan. This is the decline days that I expect we're going to experience. I'm going to move these from a deep red to an off red. I'm going to move this to a deep red. Deep red. Deep red. Now let's look at the swaps, right? So the occurrence of these swaps, the distance between the red swap occurring, let's just use this real quick, and the purple swap occurring is, how many days is this? I do not know, and I do not think it matters for the purpose of this exercise. It is this large of a gap in days. So let's grab this and overlay it on top of where the red swap was supposed to occur, and then mark the day. The day this occurs is the 22nd, and I have placed on the 22nd right here a red swap low hard, because if the red swap low has been delayed by the amount of time that it was delayed when the red swap did not occur and was replaced by a purple swap, then we would anticipate the red swap low occurring right here instead. And so we would see this gap of 213 minus 191. 213 minus 191, which is 22 days. That is 22 trading days. That is about a month, give or take. So we would see about a month gap on the red swap. It would be delayed, and then in that delay, I would try to call the bottom. That's how I work. I call the bottom based off of the cash times 2 value, and I would buy calls. Yeah, that's the plan. And anytime I see the general volatility available in here causing, let's just say, shenanigans to occur, I'm just going to reduce the position in response. Yeah, same basis. Afterwards, I buy it back if we go back down. But I see I'm going to have several in this period of time opportunities to cycle, and completely fine. I'm happy cycling. So 17th, I'm willing to look at the price below 23.50 a share. Good. Nah, I need to be less cringe with the sound effects there. Nah, but below 23.50 on the 17th, fantastic. Below 23.50, maybe even on the 13th, fantastic. I would buy. But I'm looking for a price now. I'm looking for a price that is within 50 cents of the cash on hand times 2 value, and then I'm looking to cycle it on these days which have positive upwards volatility events that occur. Now, I also expect that this part over here is going to change as max pain changes. And so let's take a moment and change what we think max pain is going to be for. I'm a little bit silly for not adding GME there, but let's look. Max pain goes 26, 24, 24, 25.5. And I'm also going to say I do not think we're going to close on 26 max pain here. Reason being that the value of the call being added on is probably around the value of the warrant being $4 a pop or 40 cents, wherein a call for October of 2026 has a value of $4. So a 32 strike price call, that is. So I expect a warrant's going to be worth $4, and then you're going to see 10 of those per 100 shares, and so you're going to see 40 cents on each call option as a warrant. And so I actually expect max pain is going to be 25.5 here. And then if I look for an external source for GME max pain, I see we're at 25.5 or so. That would make max pain 25 here. Okay, so let's make max pain 25. Now, I have been operating with it at 24.5 in this chart for the purpose of seeing a line of best fit, but I don't think that would be in support right now. I do so expect that we may see some upwards movement before this week is over, but I was not willing to hold my option for that long. And so we may see upwards movement to 25 a share before this week is over. What are we at? 24.35. Jesus. Yeah, I stop lost. I wasn't gonna watch that position degrade anymore. 300K was the max loss I was comfortable with, and I went past that. Anyways, yeah. So I'm waiting. I don't think it's worth me buying puts because we're already so low compared to where I think we're going to be in 2 weeks that there's just there's no money for me to make. If on Friday we are up, or Thursday, if on Thursday we're up to 25 a share, fantastic. I'll buy some puts, but it's just going to be play money. It's not going to be a large trade, and I might even track it, but the intention here is to make my call out. I am now waiting. I'm waiting for my time to buy. My conditions are simple, and my lessons that I've learned are that, where's my lessons? Here we are, is to trade as if we are going to remain in a suppression cycle, as it is not predictable when we will leave the suppression cycle, and also that corporate activity does not boom the stock price. This was a disbursement of a warrant. I should have full well expected that dispersing a dividend would drop the price of the underlying. That's how it always works. I'm a little bit silly though. Follow-ups. Follow-ups. What have I got here? Nothing changed on the FAQ. Nothing changed in my fundamental analysis. Nothing changed in cash on hand or failures to deliver. Nothing changed in the ETFs other than the fact that we did not, in fact, track to the ETF model. We did not track to my minimum value for the ETF model either. However, it's completely within reason. My massive fuck you loss was completely within reason for what can happen to this stock. And also tracked to a different model pretty fucking well, which is a little sad on my part because that means it's a skill issue. Oh well. Yeah. So everything's set up for me. Now I wait. In 1 week, 2 weeks, give or take, yeah, around the 17th, no, in about a week and a half, we will see if the stock is in a position where I want to pick up a play. Until then, I'm chilling, man. If I see this stock rally back up to 20, what is this, 25.9, so 25 and a half? Yeah, if I see this stock rally all the way back to 25 and a half, I'll pick up puts, and I will bet on the end of this cycle happening. But as it stands, there's no money for me to make on puts here. There's too much risk. And so, no confidence, show of no confidence. And so I'm chilling. There's no money to be made here. I'm out of my position, and I lost money. Went from up 400K to down 350. All right, boys. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you. I care deeply about everybody. Stay safe.